Hi guys, it's Freddy back here on the desktop with this week's Retro RPG, and this week I would like to present this, the 1985 Judge Dredd the role-playing game by Games Workshop, and it is the very first role-playing game I actually bought. I've told the story before of me going into my local hobby shop, wanting to buy a role-playing game and getting talked into buying Warhammer 40k, which had come out that week. Well, when I returned a couple of weeks later, looking for an actual role-playing game, it was this I ended up buying, this very box. Now if we flip it over and go over to the back, we can see a lovely full-colour picture, Your Next Punk. Judge Dredd the role-playing game by Mark Gascoigne and Rick Priestley. Megacity 1, 400 million people and every one of them a potential criminal. Most violent, evil city on Earth joins Judge Dredd and clean up the streets. You are the law. In this action-packed role-playing game, you get the Judge's Manual, containing everything you need to know to be a judge, Games Master's Book, containing everything the Games Master needs to run the game, cut-out character sheet, featuring over 60 stand-up characters and vehicles for you to use in your game, 2 play sheets for use with scenarios including the game, set of polyhedral dice for use in play for 2 or more players aged 12 to adult. But let's be honest, 2 players for a role-playing game, it's not going to be much fun. So let's open the box. And most of it's gone, I'm afraid, over the years. All I've got left in here is the 2 rule books. My maps and everything else have disappeared, and I cannot locate them. So we've got the Games Master's book. Nice Judge Dredd picture on the back. Lots of black and white artwork throughout, varying quality. And it kind of details everything you need to know. So, tools of the trade, that's talking you through a role-playing game, running a game. Lots and lots of nice artwork, designing scenarios, getting started. Damage to equipment, damage to robots, weapons, combat. We detail everything. If I keep flicking through until I find something with some stats, and I can show you the rather weird way stats work in. So we've got different headings for a vehicle. So we've got stats here for a wrecker. Strength 2, Intelligence 16, CS, I don't remember what these stat things mean. Can I find a character sheet? What do the stats mean? I'd forgotten it was all CS, DS, TS, MS, SS, PS. Is there an explanation? I used to know all these things once upon a time. Characteristics. So, combat skill. Drive skill. Tech skill, street skill, med skill, and size skill. There you go. So combat skill, how good you are at shooting. Drive skill, how good you are at driving. What was that? Tech skill. Yep, tech skill, how good you are at fixing things. MS, how good you are at fixing people. Street skill, how good you are getting information and street sort of stuff. And PS, size skill, how good you are with psychic powers and resisting them. Spanning the adventure. But the point I was making with the stats, sorry, I've skipped on after going blank on what they mean. So you've got the strength is actually on a much lower scale than everything else. Obviously these characters don't have much size skill, but all these other things are on the same rating, except for strength. Like many role-playing games of the era, the rules aren't consistent. Anyway, we've got lots of stats here. Punks, fatties, futsies, city def. Everything with Judge Dredd is here of the time, in the 1985 era. It sort of details a lot of the background. We've got lots of lovely maps of things, it really fleshes out the Judge Dredd world, and I loved it at the time as a sort of source book for Judge Dredd. You could find out lots of background information. The different mega cities around the world. Different creatures. This is obviously based on the very early books, because that was all that was out. We now have, what, 25 more years of background to go on, coming up to 35. So there's a lot of things which aren't covered in these books. I remember the rules being kind of flawed, because there was some kind of turbo boost on the Lore Master, and somebody worked it out, and it actually reaches like escape velocity. Lots of silliness, though. It's a cartoon based on a comic book, a cartoon. How to use these books again. Lots of background information. How to fold out cardboard counters. The equipment. These sort of pages, which are common in comics of the type of 2000 AD in Judge Dredd, where they detail the equipment. And repeating them here really makes it cool. Information on the bikes. I should have gone to the character sheet. So we've got strength, initiative, combat skill, drive, tech, street. We've got the ammunition, what type of ammo you want to put in each gun and where you carry it. Hit locations. Amazingly enough, your bike seems to have more stats than your character. And it's a simplistic game, but it's kind of fun. I'll come to the type of adventures in a moment. Just finish flicking through here. But yeah, it really gives a lot of background. Side-based abilities, etc. And something else I've got for it here. The Judge Dredd Companion. Basically, this is a supplement, but all it really is articles out of White Dwarf over the years. White Dwarf magazine, although now it's mainly just supporting Warhammer and Warhammer 40k, it, back in the day, supported all the games that Games Workshop put out, with lots of supplementary stuff. So, what can you do? This year, make it Britsit, so background on another city, rules for what you could find on civilians. So what can you can do what? These are basically extra skills that people can learn. Psychic abilities. Filling in Britain in the world of Judge Dredd. We've got hand-to-hand combat there. Code 14 adventure, very short adventure. Stuff you can find on people. New weapons. A choose your own adventure style. You know, go to section whatever. Turn to 2. Adventure for Judge Dredd. Crazy File, so it details some of the weird types of citizens. Advanced driving rules. Lots of bits to flesh things out. Rules for the blockout, sport. A Code 14 investigation. Downtown. Really fleshing out an area of Mega City 1. Maps and details of the blocks. How to play Shuggy, the version of Pool that's played in Judge Dredd. Mutations of various weird and wonderful types. Judge exorcisms for demonic possessions, because, you know, Judge Dredd, and it's got that kind of stuff. A full-scale investigation. And I'll take this a point to go into the adventures in Judge Dredd. They tend to be a bit different. Because you are street judges, the adventures tend to be a storyline that develops as you go on patrol. So, adventures will usually have a briefing. So your judges go to the briefing and they're told what's happening on the streets. Oh, there's a parade going on here. You've got to look out for pickpockets in the crowds for the parade. There's going to be an aerial display or whatever. You know, things to be warned out. We're looking for people distributing certain type of drug. And then those plot elements will be woven in throughout their patrol. It will seem a lot more like a series of random encounters. So do we have this? Making a Menace. Fear and Loathing. None of these adventures go under that format. Sure as fate as I say something and it proves not to be true. But I really like that style of adventure, and I have to admit I ripped it off a couple of times for other games where players are briefed and sent out on a patrol, whether they're in the military or town guard or whatever. Because I like the idea of introducing elements that they'll be told about later. But lots and lots of stuff in here, but none of it more than 2 or 3 pages long, as mainly it's briefings on, or it's articles from a magazine, I should say. And on this case of adventures, I have this box as well, Slaughter Margin. The Measure of Terror, the spectre of a long-forgotten foe, has appeared to haunt the streets and blocks of Megacity 1, and only you can stop it. So inside, we have got Slaughter Margin itself, the adventure, a series of maps, and the storyline. I will not spoil it if anybody ever is going to play Judge Dredd role-playing game. I've got a different adventure, Judgment Day, sorry. Again, a nice adventure. We've got some pull-out sections here with maps, craters, so they're probably going through a nuke zone. We've got briefings and things. As the judges are on patrol, they'll receive updates from headquarters telling them, item, homicide, unidentified corpse found on Jimmy Dean. Mac has no records of the victim, therefore suspect illegal immigrant. And be on the watch out for Amoeban Vroil. Vroil is a formless, semi-intelligent mass of transparent protoplasm. Now, they receive briefings and they get other things, burglaries, and they get sent off on side quests during it. And Judge Dredd was very much at the point where Games Workshop were going more towards board games and war games rather than publishing other people's. So we have lots and lots of plans here with buildings for you to use in scenarios. So we've got a baggie with different stuff in here. What's that? A corner kitchen unit you could put in somewhere and flesh out. We've got beds and other walls that you could place around to make an area where the judges would go in. There, they're going to play Shuggy in the middle. Just so you can actually use the rules for miniatures or cardstock combat. And that is Judge Dredd. There's a new version coming out now. Obviously, there's been various versions. I believe Mongoose did a few versions over the years. There's just been a big Kickstarter for the World of Judge Dredd role-playing game. But none of them seem quite as fun and freeform as this. This is very much a comic book role-playing game. So, that is that. Judge Dredd, the role-playing game. And the Judge Dredd companion, with some lovely artwork of Anderson. Yes, it's Anderson. She's got the side judge badge on. Thank you very, very much for watching, as always. Like and subscribe if you like what we are doing. And look after yourself. We will catch you later. Bye now.